Everywhere you look, there are people, but also nature, connected in every way. What one does will impact the other. But all together, we are one humanity. We interviewed two normal people to try and grasp what the average person knows about what is happening to our world. Here is what we found.
Climate change is kind of how the climate of the world is changing. So the weather, just the weather patterns, how it's getting warmer sooner, colder later, and the opposite in different places. I know very little about what is actually happening with our climate change at the moment. I know that there are a couple different conspiracy theories about what's happening, but as far as scientifically what is actually happening, I don't really know. Climate change does not affect me directly as far as I know or as far as I feel, other than I feel like this year it's been colder than it normally has and it's starting to get warmer sooner.
Climate change is the change in climate. Typically when the atmosphere either gets cooler or warmer, and our current situation, warmer. I would say a decent amount. It's something that I try my best to keep on top of. I know about ice caps melting. That's a pretty big one at the moment. It's just kind of hard to describe all the things you know. It's a bit of a finicky topic. Well, we're humans. And if the world gets warmer, plants are gonna die, bees are gonna die, and bees are a mass pollinator. They're what provides us with food. And then we're not gonna have food. So not only us, our animals, our plants, are gone. So, dead.
I don't really think about climate change very often. The only time that I really think about climate change is when I start to notice that there's differences in the weather, or I start to see it more often on social media.
I do think about it often, but I try not to allow myself to get emotionally upset about it because there's not much I alone can do. It has to be a group effort. And then how severe it is, it's very severe. We as humans have caused the atmosphere to warm up much more than what it would have ever been in this time period. So it's getting bad. Coral reefs are dying. You know, that's really bad. We're already losing some vegetation in areas.
I think we should work to help climate change because we want to keep the world around for as long as we can. I think that we need more people talking about it so more people are aware. Like, I myself am not aware of what's actually happening, so I think that we should make people more aware of what is going on. And I think that just knowing and giving little tips and tricks on what you can do to help with climate change will definitely help people to know what's going on, and that'll also help us be more aware so we can make more climate-friendly decisions.
There's some ways to work towards climate change. There would have to be bigger movements, and there are smaller things you would have to do first. And there are things that I do in my household day to day that can help with that, such as recycling. and reusing. When we go to the grocery stores, we don't use plastic. We use paper and fabric bags that you're able to bring to the store at the same time, so you're not throwing that away, because those plastics are in landfills and whatnot, and they take forever to decompose. And then recycling, that's also a great way to make reusable stuff in the future. Or composting, like eggshells and whatnot. You could put it in a little compost bin and then use it for your garden, so you can help your plants grow, and then you have your own source of food from your garden. A carbon footprint is a measure of carbon in the air. It's basically a calculation of how much carbon is in that air, whether it be from industry, vehicles, just people in general, from waste. So certain cities typically have a larger carbon footprint because there's more vehicles, more industry, and more waste because there's more people. Whereas more countryside has less carbon footprint because there's less of that. So it's truly just a calculation of carbon. Like I said earlier, it's a lot of recycling, reusing, and composting. Those all help reduce your waste and produce more things for you to use in the future. It does help quite a bit. We have lessened our trash a lot because of recycling, and we also have 2 separate bins. It's also a matter of your area or garbage people accept recycles, because not every garbage company accepts recycling, which is sad. I'm just lucky to have a garbage company that does accept recycling. And so we do that.
Steps that I've taken to help reduce my carbon footprint would be we recycle at home. And we're working on a home garden, but other than that, we just recycle. I'm not sure that climate change isn't natural. I do believe that as people and things evolve, the world changes. And just like in history, where we went from the Ice Age to it being hot and volcanoes exploding, I think that we do go back and forth in climate. I do think it's somewhat natural, but I definitely think that humans have sped up the process.
Are these big plants natural? They're very human-made, and they are a big manufacturer of this carbon emission. All these vehicles, they are made by humans. It's what's causing all this carbon to be released in this air. Now, eventually our atmosphere would warm up, but not as quickly as it has now because of all the carbon we're releasing from vehicles, plants, and just in general our waste, because we refuse to change our ways. So I would have to say it's pretty real, just by looking around us, and you can see carbon being released out of smoke pipes from plants and gas from cars as they drive. Was not a normal thing. How harmful it is, and not necessarily for us as humans, but for animals and plants. Because even if we killed ourselves with the atmosphere warming up, it's eventually going to kill their life too. Because if we do end up destroying ourselves, it's going to destroy the entire planet as well. So it will wipe us all out. So we should not be the main focus. We should also be focusing on what it's going to do to the rest of the earth, whether it be the water, vegetation, plants. It's really just a matter of not focusing on ourselves, but what we can do to help the environment. Because I would like to breathe clean air. That would be nice. That would be really nice.